Okay, back again. Look what we have today. This is, I'm going to speak up a little bit because some of my voice trails off on the other videos, so I'm going to try to speak up a little bit here. Not many people, well, I don't know. I'm being presumptuous. I'm sure many people have seen this. This is odd looking, to say the least, when you look at it from this perspective. But what we actually have is a Raketa domino, phone dial, whatever you want to call it. The red marks move through those holes to tell you the day, 1 through 7, and then you have the day at the bottom, the number, and I believe this is a 2628, and this is a top loader. The bezel comes off the top. It's got a nice black anodized outer ring around the glass, the crystal, and here's a shot of the case. The case is kind of nice. These are interesting. They're great to work on, easy to work on. They look intimidating with those complications. Also, this has a quick date setting where you pull the crown to a 3rd position and it advances the day. That's kind of slick. You don't see that on many Russian or Soviet timepieces. So I thought this would be a good one to dig into because of that mechanism. Might seem intimidating, but it's not. I've had this apart before, earlier in my servicing days, so who knows if I did anything right. It does run, it does keep time. However, who knows what kind of oils they may have been using. But for this purpose, we're going to rip into this and show you what goes on inside. Now, obviously, the first thing we're going to do, I'm already one step ahead of you. There is a washer right in there. We have the movement out of the case, obviously. Right underneath this indicator, right there, is a lever and a spring. And that spring might take off. And don't worry about the timing of this. We're going to worry about that later. That's going to lift off. Okay. Fairly straightforward. But you can see that lever and spring is, that's called a live spring. Let's call that a live spring, because if I go to move anything, that thing is going to take off and I'm going to lose that spring. So my old technique of releasing that spring while holding it with my finger does the trick. It's not a strong spring, but it doesn't take much to send that across the workshop, living room, dining room, whatever you have. Okay, we're going to take this minute wheel, hour wheel, because the hour hand attaches to it. I have my lighting changed a little bit. I have more of an overhead lighting because I want to get more a better quality here. I don't want to have shadows getting in the way. I hope this works out. Okay, and I think I can actuate that mechanism, although it doesn't show you much because it's all contained underneath this plate, and that date ring is contained right in here in this position, and there, that is a spring-loaded detent. You can see that jump. When we go to move everything. So I'm going to take that plate off. Hopefully I can speed these up, these videos. I know I can get long-winded and just go on and on and on. But you got to understand, I'm working around this USB-powered microscope. And it's only 4 inches away from what I'm doing. I got to get my hands in a weird position, my head turned. I don't like that screwdriver. And it just can be time-consuming. It obviously is less time doing this when you don't have to work around all this equipment. Not that it's a major studio production. I'm just saying, anything to slow you down or get in the way when you're working on the scale is going to be a challenge. That was a whoopsie. That one took off. See, I'm getting a little aggressive here. Maybe I need a drink. There we go. Some more Sauvignon Blanc for me today. Okay, I got that plate loosened, and I got a spring under here with a device. I'm going to hold on to that and get that loose. Maybe that spring is captured. It's been a while. I've had this for a few years. Okay. Interesting. We have that spring almost identical to what we had earlier. Look at that spring. That thing is just held in there. And we have one of the time setting gears sitting there. So let's put that back. And I'm going to release that spring just like we did the other one. It's out of the shot. Of course, it's giving me trouble. There we have it. That came out of this area right here. And if I remember correctly, this can be loaded or installed from the top like a Vostok. So you can put everything together and then shove that spring in. That makes it nice. I like that. Makes it less hectic. Okay, now that everything's apart there, we can remove our date wheel. And we have some interesting features here. Let's start with the keyless works are all the same. Pretty much the same as every other keyless works. We have an additional lever here. Comes around to this pivoter. And what happens when you pull on that additional step on your stem, it's going to activate that lever in this advancer. Sure, let's call it an advancer. And I believe that is just sitting on there. It's a pivot point here, and it's got a pin connecting to that lever. If I were to actuate that lever now, this thing would probably go flying. So let's not do that. If I can take it off again, and then everything comes apart. You saw that. Everything's going to come apart. The good thing is it's not under any spring tension. You don't have to worry about any springs, and it's obvious how this gets installed. It just lays in there. Just sits in there. Put everything together. These are neat to work on. Interesting movement. I forget where I got this because I have bad record keeping when it comes to buying timepieces. I had a spreadsheet for a while and kind of forgot about that. Okay, you know what that is. Over here we have another advancer and a wheel, and there's going to be a gear underneath that as well. There you go. Hopefully my lighting isn't bad. It might be. And it's a work in progress. Believe me. And then this is a spring that's resting on that gear right in that area right there. This should come out as one piece. It's an interesting piece there pressed together, and that's going to be the advancer for the day and the date. It'll be that day, that red indicator. Trixie, behave. My dog growling at each other. Now we have all this apart. We can come to the keyless works, and that is going to be okay. Let's get a look at how this works. Here's our winding. I already let this mainspring down, so when we push it in, there's winding, and then we come out, there's time setting, and then one more. You can see that, if you notice right here, that's going to advance, and we have something over here that allows that to go one more click. And that little action is the quick set. So if you're like me, you don't like setting your date by going midnight to 8 o'clock, midnight to 8 o'clock. With this, you only have to do it to get the day, the 1 through 7. The nice thing is, you can assign any number you want for the day of the week. Traditionally, Sunday is number 1. You could make Monday number 1. A lot of people don't like Monday, so let's make Tuesday number 1. Doesn't matter. The good thing is you can do a quick setting on the number. A very small watch in today's standards. This looks very tiny on my wrist, and I'm not a big wristed guy. 6 1/4 inches, I believe. But my wife loves it. She loves the clean look, the black and white dial, and it keeps great time. It really does. It's a nice functioning movement. I think I paid $20 for this. I don't know. I should have better record keeping. It's just not going to happen, honestly. Okay, here we go. Back to the keyless works. Get that spring out of there as gently as we can without losing it. This is my only 2628 that I have. I don't have spare parts for it. Hopefully I don't lose anything. Okay, this is, I'm sure everybody knows the names of these. Okay? Not everybody. A lot of people. To me, it doesn't matter. Just like politics. I don't give a crap. I don't read the newspaper. I don't watch the news. I rarely turn on the TV, the telly, and if I do, I'm watching Monty Python, Benny Hill, or Britcom, or Rodney Dangerfield. Something funny, not something stupid like politics. Okay, coming back around, we see it as a 2628.H. What does the H mean? I have no idea. Maybe it's a high precision, could be. But if you notice, this has two shocks. We have the balance. Let's get in the shot, dummy. There's our balance spring, and then there's one here for what's that wheel called? The escape wheel. That is a balance also. That little spring is tricky. I don't like taking it out, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I don't. If it's not that dirty, I'll just do a manual clean on that with some solvent and get that cleaned up and lubricate it. So, we have this type of balanced spring once again. The shock spring. And I'm going to put some Rotico on there. I'm surprised that was in the shot. Go figure. And we're going to pop that loose. There we go. I like it. Out with the jewels. So hopefully my new lighting system is working. If anybody says, feels it is or it is not, no, just post it online. Tell me, hey, you're not so good there. Try again. But hopefully I'm speaking up a little bit so everybody can hear me, because as I move my head back and forth, up and down, my voice will trail off, and I think that's because of my position changing in relation to the computer. The computer has a microphone somewhere. I wish I knew where it was. I'd speak into it, but I don't. Okay, this has a shim underneath the balance assembly. Very, very thin piece of metal. And everything right now is straightforward. We're just going to keep going, digging into this little by little. Let's get a screwdriver that fits. There you go, genius. Can we get in tighter without ruining my neck? Okay. There's one. Very tiny screws. Very tiny screw. Okay. Where do we want that? Let's put that there. I think my voice trails off more when I'm concentrating. I don't know why. Maybe because I don't have any John Coltrane in the background, or Oscar Peterson, or some Wagner. That's what I need. Some music. But with that last go, well, that one go around, pallet fork, oh, look at that, some energy left in that spring. It's amazing, doesn't take much. That last go around, some of these, that one video was blocked in Germany because of copyright issues, listening to satellite radio while doing this work. It's always something. Okay. I don't explain everything I'm doing. Like, I'm removing the screw for the ratchet wheel, because I think if anybody is watching these, and I hope there's a few, they would know that's the ratchet wheel. And they already know that is a left-handed screw. So we are going to tighten it to loosen it. I shouldn't have to keep repeating that, but if you're like me, I'm a little slow on the uptake. You repeat something to me 16,000 times, eventually I'll figure it out. So maybe it is helpful. But that's me. Alright, I just wanted to get that off. Next, that center bridge. Obviously, I know you're all saying, yeah, just do it. Keep this down to 15 minutes. Too late. We're already up to 17. Honestly, these don't take that long to take apart. It's all this equipment I'm working around. And if I go too fast, I might drop something. Then I gotta stop, get out the magnet, look for it in the carpet, chase the dogs away, chase the cats away. Oh yeah, that's what I needed. Okay. Off with the bridge. There's a little corrosion on that center wheel. We're going to call that the second hand pinion. A little bit of corrosion on it. Same with this one. Now when you dig into this, boy, doesn't that look familiar. Very similar to the Copernicus movement. Well, it's probably basically the same thing, but that fast acting or quick date setting mechanism, and also the date. The Copernicus does not have that, and I forget what number that was. 26. See. It doesn't matter. I just know how it comes apart. And if you remember from Copernicus, that video, the click is shared with this mounting screw, and therefore it is longer. It's a longer screw. And I know everybody's saying, yeah, we know that. Keep going. There's our click. Click spring. and mainspring bridge. There's our barrel and mainspring. Okay, intermediate bridge. I don't know what that's called. If you told me today, I'd forget tomorrow. That's one thing I couldn't figure out when it came to language studies, when I was trying to learn English in junior high and high school. You could tell me what a verb is one day, the next day I would forget, because I literally do not know a noun from a verb from a pronoun, let alone the difficult stuff. That was my big struggle. Those types of things, math and science and working with my hands, that I can remember. It's probably why I do this better than talking or telling jokes. Whoopsie. There we go. Okay, everything is apart. All we need to do is remove that cannon pinion and the other balance jewel right there. That's all pretty straightforward, and keeping this right around 20 minutes, that's great. So next time we're going to put this together, and see you then.